gone real old school today and rewatched a movie that I haven't seen since I was a kid. And for those of you wondering, that's over 30 years ago. I've been really lucky this week to watch a whole bunch of movies. Some were amazing, some were great, some were good, and there are a couple there that were so bad they may just make an appearance on a future video. So here's the list of my recent watch list. I think I covered all genres recently. I started off with Adventures in Babysitting, a classic 80s romp. Then I watched Hounded, the less said about that film the better. Then I went to Belgian cinema for The Silence of Luna. I wish I hadn't watched Legion, but what can you do? And unfortunately The Prodigy was even worse than Legion, but luckily Force Majeure saved the day. But obviously I've saved the best to last. A Nightmare on Elm Street, the 1984 true original. Watching Nightmare on Elm Street, the original, was real nostalgia for me. I think it was the first film I saw on pirate video back in the day, and I do remember watching that and The Terminator around a friend's house. It terrified me at the time, and I actually haven't watched it since, so it was a real delight to watch this movie again. Our lead character, Nancy Thompson, is a typical American kid in a typical suburb living in a really average teenage life, surrounded by a tight-knit group of friends. One of whom being Glenn, played by what I believe is Johnny Depp's first ever screen role. Nancy's typical high school life is shattered when she begins to have terrifying nightmares of being stalked by a horrific, burnt and crazy madman. It soon becomes apparent that her friends are also suffering the same nightmare. It's only when one of the group is brutally murdered in their sleep that they realise that the monster in her dreams can blur the boundaries of dreams and reality. Freddy Krueger, the dark protagonist, is on a mission to wreak havoc and exact revenge through nightmares. If he kills you in your dreams, you never wake up. This leads our hero Nancy to either never go to sleep or find a way to fight back. So let's talk about what I loved. In terms of plot, it truly is an innovative idea and a real original spin on the slasher genre. Now, I don't think it's really been seen before quite like this. The writer-director Wes Craven has been cited as birthing the slasher genre, although I'm not really convinced by that, as it could be argued that Psycho from the 1960s highlights that the genre has been around for a long time. What I do think though is the film put the genre firmly back on the map and spawned a whole raft of less interesting and less successful films. So what makes it so good? Funnily enough, most of the characters are not well developed, and you could argue that a lot of the acting's subpar. But for me, this is an irrelevance when you have a personality as strong as Freddy Krueger. There is no point in having a counterpoint character to match Freddy, because this would only dilute how over the top Freddy is, who is superbly played by Robert Englund. The film being 40 years old obviously doesn't have the visual impact it once did. To me, the lighting and sound effect did at times feel a bit clunky, but that's me watching with a modern lens. I think where this film excels is the set pieces, pace and visual effects, all created in camera before CGI ruined everything. Some of the set pieces are now part of horror folklore, the bath scene being a prime example. It has been argued that Wes has got the atmosphere and storytelling so right that Freddy Krueger is actually the least scary part of the story. In a certain way, I kind of agree with that statement. Obviously, due to the age of the film, it doesn't have the visual and emotional impact it did back then, but that could simply be down to my age. Sure, yeah, it looks cheap now, but you have to remember that it was so innovative at the time and set a standard for what was to come. It created a legendary character in Freddy that went on to spawn sequel after sequel, to be fair, to diminishing returns, but certainly gave me nightmares back in the day. I really enjoyed the rewatch, and it was really refreshing to watch a horror movie not based solely on jump scares or CGI effects. The story is both original and really well told, all played out in a running time that didn't outstay its welcome. Absolutely worth it. What can I say? It's a solid 5 out of 5. Whether or not that's just down to nostalgia or quality filmmaking, I'm not sure, but I really enjoyed the film and I've definitely got to watch it again, and this time I won't leave it 30 years. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Please don't be afraid to leave comments or subscribe. Bye for now.